Good morning. I hope everyone's doing well. Appreciate you guys being here. Today, can you guys see my screen? No.
Yes, now we can.
Today, we'll just be going over committee purpose, a quick conference debrief, discussion on the state service plan, and then public comment. To start, we did want to share with you guys that Candace will kind of be taking over as a staff role in the for this, I guess, for going forward.
I'm
And
back.
appreciate her so much. And Candace, I'll let you jump in and share the amazing news.
Yes, I am. I am
Are you on
back.
mute?
I am. Am I?
I can
Hold
hear you.
on.
Maybe I was on mute.
I can hear
You can
you
hear me?
fine, Candace. Anthony, but I don't think you, I don't know that because Candace said something earlier and I don't think you heard her. But you can hear me
I can hear
okay?
it now. I can hear it.
Okay,
now.
okay. Good.
Okay. Um. Well, Amy, Terry, hello. I will. I will do the. I will send out an email to the whole group just to let them know that that I'm back. It comes with I don't think that I've had the even the time with everything that's going on to share with you guys that I got a bit of a promotion here at Volunteer Tennessee. So just with everything that goes along with Foundations of Service and working with the initiatives, just led me back to the most fabulous group ever, which is the Foundations of Service. But all the committees are fabulous. Let me not say that. But I'm happy to be back. And Anthony, if you want to just go ahead, and Anthony's just tag teaming with me on this meeting, but I plan to just pick everything back up after the commission meeting on May 15th. But that's all. So we can go ahead and continue with the committee purpose, Anthony, and then I'll hop back in with the conference debrief about Award of Excellence. I think you're muted. You're muted as well.
Thank you.
There we go.
Yep. Essentially, Destiny usually does that part, but essentially it's just grounding us in the foundations of service and what we do as a committee. And just shout out to you guys for being part of it. Yes, we can go ahead and move on to the conference.
Okay. Well, um, I I think for me the first thing that I was interested in was any just general feedback that you guys had from the conference, which can go from the conference, the agenda, the commission meeting, the award of excellence. I just wanted to just keep it open today, and then if you guys had anything specific about the award of excellence, as far as the debrief, spanning from the application rollout, the scoring, the award ceremony, we'll kind of all go into award of excellence. But just open the floor, I guess. Just Terry and Amy, if you guys had any particular or specific feedback for the conference. Now's not your only time to speak, but you're welcome to. You can go ahead, Amy.
Yeah, I think I have lots of feedback. In a time when budgets are tight and travel is hard, I really feel like we should consider aligning our conference with another conference instead of trying to be to collaborate instead of to compete. I've seen attendance kind of drop. And I don't think it's a result of the conference. I think it's a result of budgets and other competing conferences. And so I think that is something that I think I talked to a couple of y'all about while I was there, but I would like for us to consider or at least explore the possibility of of collaborating with Tennessee Nonprofit Network and their conference, because a lot of our agencies and folks that we are working with across the state are nonprofits. And so I think there's some alignment, and it could either be that ours is a track in the conference or ours is a pre-conference. But I think that we recommend, I would recommend that we reimagine maybe what the conference should look like. I know that may not be what you wanted to hear, but that would be my feedback.
And we've done it before, right? Just a couple of years ago, where we partnered with, well, your alignment is slightly different, but we have partnered with other conferences before, with the National Youth Leadership Conference. So it's not as far fetched, I think, as we're putting it out there. Although I think what you're suggesting, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I heard you mention it, that it would be, kind of awesome to, especially since Tennessee Nonprofit, like as you stated, is sort of directly aligned with our audience. Just having a volunteer track, I think it's a fantastic idea, but it would be what the commission comes up with. But I think all in all, though, I think our conference is valuable. But reimagining how we get it to our audience is something to be considered. So thank you, Amy, for that. Destiny?
Yeah. Can I say one more thing real quick?
Absolutely.
I'll
You
just
can
say I
say
was
two more
not
things. Go right
I
ahead.
was not a fan of the partnership with the NYLC. I felt like they just took over our conference. So I would want, that is not, I would want it to look differently than that. So yes, I agree we've done it before, but I will say I was not a fan of how that played out. So I think there's better ways to do it. And now I'll be quiet. Sorry.
No, your feedback is duly noted, and thank you for that. Does anybody have anything that they'd like to respond with, Terry, Destiny, on what Amy is suggesting?
Can you guys hear me okay? This is Terry. Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
I agree with Amy. I've been thinking about this for some time. I also would love to see more community activities where people really get to know each other at a conference, and that kind of bonding and community draws them back. I think Jason and I talked a little bit about that. But Candace, you and your group have done an amazing job on the conference. And of all the conferences that I have been to in my past, I think this one is the most, it grabs your heart because of what our vision and mission is. And I don't want to lose that. And I agree with Amy, whoever we partner with, if we do indeed partner, we need somebody who captures that vision of, what we have in mind for our conference and our, the 2 days or the day and a half or whatever. But I do want to say that you've done an amazing job, Candace, and really proud of the work you've done in your committee as well.
Well, thank you, Terry. I appreciate your vote of thank you so much. I appreciate that. But I am taking in all the feedback that you guys have, even feedback from other committees and other board members. I would like to bring a couple of people together to sort of flesh out the idea before jumping, straight out of the boat and into another one, and what that actually looks like. I don't know what that looks like or what it would mean for Volunteer Tennessee, but your feedback is heard and it's so valuable. So thank you both to Terry and to Amy.
Yeah, and I'll just throw in there. I don't know if Destiny has anything to add to the conversation, but in addition to the NYLC, which was, as Amy mentioned, was kind of a different thing. I mean, it was not so much as a combined conference as they hosted the national conference in place of our annual conference. So it wasn't really a combined thing. It was just a replacement thing. We have, though, something closer to what Amy's talking about. We partnered with the United Ways of Tennessee in the past to have because they have an annual meeting. It's it's not necessarily a conference, but they have an annual meeting. And we've combined forces with them in the past a couple times to have the United Ways more present at our conference. And then, of course, we've had the higher ed track, which started off as kind of a combination of us and the Tennessee Campus Compact, which then morphed into the Tennessee Service Learning Consortium. And so, but now the consortium has kind of changed to more of just a track within a higher ed track within our conference, as opposed to more, more of a partnership. So there are a couple things. One of the things, because we talked a little bit with the Tennessee Nonprofit Network when they were kind of forming, about whether or not it would make sense to combine forces with them for our conference and theirs, but it didn't. The logistics didn't seem to work, and that's one thing that we'll need to think about is, does the timing of their statewide conference match up with our kind of primary audience? Because I agree there are a lot of synergies with our audience and theirs, but there's also some differences in our audiences. So we just need to think about whether or not the timing would work, and whether or not they'd be interested in partnering up is something we'd have to broach with them. So anyway, just a couple thoughts. I think it would be good for this committee to kind of have some more discussions about that. I would say that if we want to do it for the upcoming conference, we need to move quickly, because it seems like it's a long way away, but it really isn't. And the Tennessee Nonprofit Network already has its next conference scheduled. So it might not be possible to join forces with them for their upcoming conference, which I think is maybe in June, maybe. So it would probably be more, if that's the way the commission wants to go, it would be more of a discussion for probably sometime after our next conference would be when it would make sense to combine, or potentially we would skip our next conference and instead have a combined conference in 2027 with the Tennessee Nonprofit Network.
Good morning. Other things I was considering, in addition to what Amy had said, I hadn't thought about that, Amy. So thanks for bringing that up, and thanks for talking about the logistics, Jim, and what that would look like. I'm curious on the value add for our conference, and like how we can be more appealing about what we add, like why people need to be at the conference. And because I am not on the ground going to other conferences that do what we're doing, I'm curious to know, what is it that is appealing the other conferences, one that we're attending, by we I mean the staff going to, like, oh, I need to learn about this. Is it just because it's part of my job, or is it like, actually I'm going to this conference because I'm pulling something out of it? And I'm curious on if there's anything that we can implement here for people to have the value add to, like Amy said, spend the money in this economy, without changing too much. Like, I know every year we're always like, oh, let's change this, let's change that. I think this is the first year we didn't really change the application, which is great. Like maybe next year we don't have to change the application. So I'm just curious on all those things.
I'm curious, Jim. I'm going way back in time here to my days as a training officer at the commission. So look, we just jetted back lots of years. We used to do kind of AmeriCorps program director training days, and people found it really helpful. I know y'all tend to have the AmeriCorps director meeting.
Mhm.
Are there years that you've had, but to me, there's great value in program directors learning from each other and leading training sessions for each other. Have y'all had an AmeriCorps program director track at the conference or as part of the conference?
Not so much a track. I mean, we have a program director meeting at each conference that last usually, I think Candace can correct me if I'm wrong, but roughly half a day. Which when the conference was a day and a half, it was it meant that they could still attend other sessions and really join in on the conference. But with the conference being a half day, it essentially it really restricts what they can do in terms of attending other sessions. But we did still have that in-person program director, AmeriCorps program director meeting at this past conference. We tried doing kind of like a national service track in the past that was, kind of geared towards staff that are at the local level working with programs that Volunteer Tennessee funds. And I think that was mildly successful. I wouldn't say it was, as far as I can remember, I don't think it was wildly successful, but I think it was okay. And the funding for Amy, you remember it as PDAT, which then morphed into the Commission Investment Fund. But there was actually a gap of like 2 to 3 years where we didn't have any training money at all because the AmeriCorps agency eliminated that funding stream because it wasn't specifically appropriated by Congress. And they didn't think that states needed it. So the America Service Commissions and the field in general worked with Congress to reestablish the training money for commissions, and that's where the Commission Investment Fund came from. So we now have that dedicated money. So kind of the bottom line, though, for that, Amy, is that for several years, we just didn't have any training money at all. And so even before COVID, we had stopped doing the in-person program director trainings like what you're talking about and had gone to kind of virtual phone call. It was pretty rudimentary at the time because, virtual meetings weren't as fine-tuned as they are now. But still, we did some kind of virtual type things. And then, of course, COVID came along and we haven't done any really significant in-person program director trainings outside of the conference. But it's something we've talked about kind of rebooting because I agree. And I think the staff agrees and the staff at the program level agree that they find value in getting together, kind of to touch on what Destiny was talking about, what's the value add to coming to our event in person. So we could consider, so one of the things we could consider doing is if we want to combine forces with someone else to kind of have more of a volunteer management, national service type set of tracks at somebody else's conference, we could go back to potentially having some in-person meetings for AmeriCorps program directors that we haven't been doing recently. As an option, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think the value add for me is, I know we talk about quality over quantity, but I think the more people you have united in a common theme or vision, and then tracks that support their individual needs, with great plenary sessions with the whole group together and networking opportunities, I think is what I would love to envision. But I also think that, yes, when you're talking about some of that comes with, there's always cost, right? And some of it also comes down to time, because as a person from East Tennessee, it is hard to travel for a half day, right? When you're going to spend more time traveling than you're going to spend in the conference. So I think some of it also comes down to what is the length of the conference as well.
Yeah, and the commission has talked about in the past moving our conference around so that it wouldn't be hosted exclusively in Nashville. So that's another thing that we could kind of discuss is if the commission wants to continue having its own conference that's not combined with someone else, maybe we think about moving it around. The other thing the commission has talked about, and we haven't done this either, is instead of having one single conference, we have 3 smaller regional conferences, which would make travel a little bit easier and potentially increase attendance for folks who don't have to travel and stay overnight. So I mean, there's several options to consider as we kind of talk about where to go from here.
I would like to say if we do consider, sorry, Candace, go ahead, because I really did ask you a question, so I'm gonna let you answer.
I apologize. What was your question? Because
Oh, I thought you
had
were
a
coming off
follow-up
with
question.
my initial question of like, what did you want their value add to be when they showed up? But
Oh,
if that's
oh
not what
no,
you're talking about, you don't. We
no,
can.
no, 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 no. I was.
Okay.
You please continue because you may answer the question that I'm about to ask, which because you're great at reading minds. But what I was just going to ask about what would be like a logical next step? Like, is this something that we get a little bit of time for at the upcoming commission meeting, or is this something that I gather as a separate meeting with other commissioners? That was going to be my next question on, because to Jim's point, it is something that we would have to move rather quickly on, as we start planning and moving forward. So um, I, I can't make the decision by myself. And then, Amy, I appreciate you bringing it up. So that was more of what my question was. So I didn't want to move the conversation too far left if we weren't there yet, but that I just wanted to put that on the floor. So um,
No, that was it. I was gonna say logistically wise, what does this look like for us? Um, because I know last year we talked about changing locations, but then we couldn't change locations because we waited too long. And so I think if we're gonna bring this to the full board, we need to come with actual solutions for them to choose from instead of, because what we do is we always get decision fatigue when we get into a big board meeting. So I think if we can figure out like, okay, if we're looking to move it, we're looking to move it to East Tennessee in Knoxville this weekend at this time. And I think we need to justify why we're doing it. And I only say that because when I just worked whatever we were doing, the award ceremony, majority of the people were from Middle and West Tennessee that I was with. And so I'm curious on what has data showed us? Is it because travel, or is it because people are just not applying? I just want to make sure we're justifying if we're moving it to Knoxville, we're still going to be having a good turnout if we move it to East Tennessee. And so I think those are conversations we need to discuss today. And then I think it'd be a great idea to move it over to board of, these are our 3 options. We'll go to Knoxville. We'll go to one each region. I don't know how logistically that will work with staff time, or we're going to keep it in Nashville, Middle Tennessee area, and just move it to somewhere else, kind of thing. So I know there's only Amy and Terry and myself on this meeting. And I don't want to take that much power for the commission. However, I do think it would be a good idea for the 3 of us to come up with options to then give to the committee to say, yes, we agree with that before we move on and share it with the board. Thoughts, Terry and Amy?
So
And just
I'm
sorry,
thinking,
let me just Terry, I'm sorry, can I throw out I just looked up the dates for the Tennessee Nonprofit Network Conference are September 29th and 30th of this year. So that's when their next statewide conference is coming up.
That's very helpful.
Don't interrupt.
go ahead, Terry. You're
Okay. I'm a little speechless when I consider, and this is just my honest feelings right now, but just thinking about not having the conference, number 1, for a year and really figuring out what we want. And then number 2, joining with another group. However, thinking about it realistically, it's a huge step, and I would feel more comfortable if we talked about this with the full commission and get some more feedback. And I think we probably need to do it, as you all have said, in May, if not before.
I think that makes sense. I hear both what you're saying and what Destiny's saying. So
Yeah, yeah.
that it's not as much a we're going to discuss this, but here's a recommendation we would like to bring forward, because then it's
Yeah.
easier to make decisions on it.
Yeah.
Jim, I think what I would be thinking, if there's a September 29th and 30th this year, then it would be, and we've already had ours this year, that it would be looking to 2027. And so the timing might be right to have the conversation. I don't know if
Mhm.
that you're set on always having it in September or not, right? I mean, I think that would be a question to ask too.
Mhm.
In some ways, I think that date might work for program directors, and that might work for, I mean, our award of excellence is for the prior school year, so that's a little bit closer proximity to the prior school year.
Mhm.
But I think that that would be something to look at. As far as, do you want me to switch gears to something else or stay on the same train?
I would
Well,
stay on the same train so we
Yeah.
can figure out what we're going to
Yeah.
do.
Okay.
Yeah. And the other piece of that is curious for me, we normally, not normally, sometimes we've had this at different times of the year because of professors, teachers who want to come and do a presentation, and maybe, because they get points for that, and that adds to their tenure and promotion portfolio. What will happen to that group of people if we decide to go at a completely different, season of the year? How will that affect that group? And are we moving away from that group because we aren't having as many, folks put in applications to do presentations? Am I right, Candace, about that? Yeah.
Yes, yes. Um, I I think it really depends on which route we're going, right?
Yeah.
Because we can, if we're curating our, let's just take for example Amy's suggestion, and I'm just putting this out as an example. If we are presenting like a volunteer track at Tennessee Nonprofit, we could put it out there and sort of curate the track that we want to put out there that maybe not represents Volunteer Tennessee, but represents Volunteer Tennessee, for lack of better words, right? So I think that it would just really depend, not just the applications that are submitted for workshop proposals, but to Jim's point, the higher education that we have, the corporate social purpose that we've included into the track. Like, are these things that, how are we connecting and putting everything together? But in
Yeah.
my mind, I would think I would more so ask that volunteer, the theme that we want to reach. I would reach out to those people who actually fit that theme and invite them to be a part of the Volunteer Tennessee track that will be a part of the Tennessee Nonprofit, because I see this as an opportunity to get in front of people that we may not have had the opportunity to touch before. We may not have the opportunity to share our vision, our work, and all the great things that we're doing. So I think that one wouldn't be as much of an issue. It might be a little bit of a rush if we're trying to make it to September, but I think it's still plenty of time for somebody to prep for a workshop. And then this workshop, thank you, Jim. I didn't even think about looking it up. Their conference this year is in Embassy Suites for Franklin Cool Springs. So logistically, it's not even it's right across the street. But I think that there are that it could happen. We just have to figure out what's best for Volunteer Tennessee moving forward. What are all the what's best for us?
So what I'm hearing, because we have a lot of options,
Mhm.
and I just want to make sure I'm comprehending what we're saying. Um, we obviously know moving to a conference this year by September is not going to happen. We cannot partner by this year. However, here are things that we can present. One, we can reach out and see if we can do a track just for Volunteer Tennessee. We can have our own workshop. If I understood that's what you were saying, Candace, I might have comprehended that wrong. We could try to have our own little track workshop facilitation. Is that what you're saying for this
What I thought
semester?
I heard Amy saying. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I thought I heard her saying.
Okay.
Yes.
So doing that, while we do that, we'll start bridging that partnership. Potentially, what does it look like for us to come with you in the next year or the upcoming year to do something? However, in the meantime, for June 2027 or February 2027, we still need to have our own conference to ensure we're not missing a year off. Is that what I'm hearing?
I think if you're talking about partnering with somebody, and we've already had one this year and they have one next year, if you talk about us doing our own in 2027 and partnering with them, you're then looking at 2028.
Yes, because we would take the time after this year to talk to them, because we won't get into them. We won't be able to talk to them in September this year. And then it would be, and I heard Terry say she didn't want to miss a whole year. And so if we didn't do something in 2027, by the spring, that would be more than a year that we wouldn't be having a conference. Based on the timeline, because we just had a conference in 2026. So if we waited again to September 2027, it would be more than a year. And that's what Terry didn't want to happen.
I think it just depends on how you think about a year. Is it a calendar year?
Yeah.
Right.
Terry, are you thinking calendar year or a year from when was the last time we did it?
A year from the last time we did it, what we normally do. But if we go with the caveat that we are not going to have it in the spring, instead we're going to move it to the fall of 2027. I mean, that sounds much better to me.
Okay. Realistically, how do we think these conversations will go? And how long do we think those conversations will be needed to have? I just want to be realistic about our timeline and expectations of where we are with the capacity that we have.
Quite honestly, from what I've heard from the commission in the different committees that I've sat in on and with the executive committee, I think there would be people are very open to.
I'm sorry, I should have clarified. Not from our side, from the partnership we're trying to partner with. Like, do we have a relationship with them already? Like, can we pick up the phone and be like, hey, we love what you're doing. Can we go ahead and jump in and collaborate on this conference with you?
Yeah.
Well,
He was
we
our
have Andrea.
keynote
Yeah.
like 2 years ago.
Yeah, and Kevin was our keynote, and then Andrea's on our board.
Yeah. Andrea Hill it works for the Tennessee Nonprofit Network, and so we do have some connections with them. So we could certainly reach out to them and see what they think about partnering with us would look like for them to kind of move them forward. So we could certainly start that conversation with them. Like you said earlier, Destiny, I think it's September would probably be too quick. I don't see anything. I'm looking on their website about like a call for presenters. I don't see anything. Their schedule just says details coming soon. So I don't know how they're even determining what the sessions look like for their conference. I'm not really sure because I don't see any information on that on their website about sessions. And just as another bit of information, their conference in 2025 was at the very end of August and was just a single day. That was, I think, maybe their very first one. So it's still a relatively new organization. So they're probably still trying to figure out what their conference looks like for them internally. And then Amy asked in the chat about the budget implications for a change from February to later in the year. It depends a little bit on when it would actually be, because our Commission Investment Fund budget, which is where our conference is primarily funded, is currently on a state fiscal year, and should be going into the future. So going from February to August or September, that August or September is in another fiscal year. Fortunately, our Commission Investment Fund grant is a 3-year grant. So if we didn't have a conference in February of 2027, we could take that money that we currently have budgeted for the conference in 2027 February and just hold on to it and use it in August or September of 2027, which again would be in a different fiscal year and a different budget for the Commission Investment Fund. But we should be able to do that without any problems. So I don't think it would, and certainly when we just started a brand new 3-year grant cycle for the Commission Investment Fund. So if we're going to make the switch, we need to do it within that current 3-year period, because if we wait to the end and try and switch, we won't be able to carry that money over. So I don't know if that makes sense to folks, but essentially 3 years from now, if we have money that we're not going to spend in February of, what would that be, 2029, we couldn't then carry it over into August or September of 2029 because it would be a brand new federal grant, and that money couldn't cross over to that brand new federal grant.
That's all helpful. So what I'm hearing, tell me if I'm wrong, what I'm hearing might not be what I'm hearing, is what we're presenting is we're not interested anymore in moving it maybe to another region. We're saying the first choice, the best choice is let's partner with the conference who's also building, who would be willing to have a little conversation, some flexibility, because we're all trying to figure this out together. It would still be in Franklin and Cool Springs, but I'm hearing 2 budgets coming together, collaborations and an opportunity. And before we reach out to them, like we at least want to ask the committee, like, hey, not the committee, I'm sorry, the commission, this is our idea. We partner with them, X, Y, and Z. We haven't asked them yet, but as soon as we get your approval, we'll reach out to them like we have an email drafted. Is that what I'm hearing? And then tell them the logistics of that would probably be fall 2027 instead of spring 2027. Is that correct? And if that's correct, my next question is, Candace, what do you think that looks like with schooling? Because I do know we had it in February due to truancy and people having schedules, sports seasons, all the things. How do you think that's going to line up?
So for me, here's, another part to consider is that for forever, we've successfully put together GVSA and the conference, right? So are both of those events married into our idea of teaming up with TNN, right? Like what also does that look like? Because the Governor's Volunteer Stars Awards and the Award of Excellence is, we've coupled it, but it is it could be a standalone event, right? So what does that look like as well? So although I would love to answer your question, to Amy's point in the chat, it is a lot to consider, but I think that there's a way to make them both work. But we would just have to sort of look back logistically on what does it look like for GVSA to stand alone as its own program again for this year.
And hear me out. I don't expect the answer today, but I do expect the
I know.
answer for us to have when we go
For
to the board, because what's
for
going to
May,
happen
right?
is we're going to have these questions. And then I love questions. Obviously, I ask them, but I think it'd be great if we could have the answers so we can
Yeah.
actually get a decision made when we're there in
Um,
May. So you can go ahead and do whatever it is that you will have to do. I'm just honestly, my thing is I'm always worried about the pressure we put on staff with our ideas as board members. We all think it's great. And then I don't know if y'all go behind closed doors and be like, what the hell? they have us doing this kind of thing.
Well, you know, in three mini conferences almost gave me a slight heart attack. I'm just gonna tell you that. It almost made me just like, whoa, what is happening? But I do understand the visions. I do understand the value. I do understand, and I'm excited that all considerations are being thrown into the cauldron, right? So, but I think to your point, we just have a couple of things to figure out before we get to the meeting, right? Like, you know, do we speak with Andrea and see what that looks like to bring to the table? What happens if they're like, no, we don't want to partner with you guys? You know, what does that look like after that? Not you know, just in reality, what does that look like? So, I just, and then even with um you know, I just think there are a couple of things to think about. And ooh, Amy, thank you for that comment about we had every school to show up, not to switch gears, but to give kudos to us as a group. Every school showed up this year for Award of Excellence. It was quite satisfying. They were very excited that it was on a Sunday and they could bring their students and they could be a part of the entire the entire thing of being awarded with the other Governor's Volunteer Stars Awards. Like, they actually enjoyed it. It was just a logistics move for me. I didn't even think that long term about what it actually meant to our Award of Excellence schools, but they actually really enjoyed that part of it. So thank you, Amy, for that. But with only 9 minutes left, I just I can absolutely reach out to Andrea about the Tennessee Nonprofit Network and what that would actually look like um, as a task item, um, so that we can bring the information to the commission in on May 15th. What other task items would you guys want as commissioners to be able to present the information?
Well, and just a question, and this I think is more so for Destiny and Terry, is I agree, Destiny, we don't want to have decision fatigue. So whatever gets presented to the full commission on the 15th, it would be best if it were some sort of something that was easy for them to wrap their brains around and do kind of a yes, no, almost decision. So is that what you're thinking, that we would be like, the discussion in May would be a simple, should we try to partner with someone else? Yes, no. And then if the answer is yes, then we go off and we try and find somebody to partner with, whether it's the nonprofit network or somebody else. We would then go off and try and find a partner to partner up with.
Yeah, I would think that would be the best way to do it, Jim. A yes, no. Here's what we talked about it. We've come to these decisions that we're hoping the commission will agree with or vote on, or however we do it officially.
Ditto.
Okay.
And I mean, if we need a plan B, we can have a plan B. But right now, we'll just go to plan A, because I don't have a plan B if we're not going to do
I
the
don't
mini.
either. I'll be honest, I was not expecting the conversation to go like this today. I'll be completely honest. So, thank you guys. So if Amy, will we all be present at the May meeting? Well,
I
I know-
likely will not be. Sorry, Jim. I was supposed to be, and then my husband booked an airline flight for me as a surprise. So probably not, unless the timing works out perfect.
Yeah, no, that's okay. That's very sweet of your husband to do that.
I know.
Yeah, but I mean, I think Terry's going to be there. Destiny, I don't remember.
It is tentatively on my schedule. I'm hoping to be there. I have a new job.
Oh, right.
And so
Yeah.
finally got a job, got bills to be paid. But
Yeah, sure.
I have it in my
Correct.
calendar. I'm going to try to get off, but I work hourly. So all that to say is I have to request off where I can say
Yeah.
yes for sure now.
Yeah, well, I think if we kind of keep it simple as a discussion of, does the commission agree that we should partner up with somebody else rather than trying to continue to have our standalone conference? I mean, I think that discussion point, we can probably handle that without a whole lot of other folks because it would, if the two of you aren't available, it would essentially just be Terry. But, I think Terry can handle that conversation.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I'll be honest,
Terry, speak up if I'm wrong, but I think that would be okay.
We'll definitely have Destiny on the screen or by the way, the phone. Yes, Destiny, just in case.
yes, I will do my best. I was going to say, when you all put the agenda together, let me know what it is, and then I'll do my best to at least show up for this discussion to present how we got here with the
Okay.
with the data, our own internal qualitative data, and why we're here and how we can move forward if needed. And then I can just hop off if for some reason I need to be away for a little bit.
Got it.
Perfect.
Okay, that's good.
Okay. Very quickly, um, if you guys have any feedback on anything else for the conference award of excellence, we can definitely talk about that. And then we didn't have as much time to get to the action plan items for our state service plan. We have committee time at this quarterly meeting, Jim.
I don't think we're going to have time to do committee
Okay.
breakouts because there's a lot of discussion that has to happen. So probably not.
Candace, I have a real question. What else do we have to do on this plan? Because I could have sworn we've been done with this plan a long time ago.
No, we're not creating the plan anymore. It's just more of the action items from hold on, I can just share my screen extremely quickly.
We don't have the action items in there, like what we gonna do, when we gonna do it, how we gonna do it yet?
Yes.
We don't?
No, we do. There are just a couple of
Oh.
things on here that we talked about that, just need a little bit of, circling back, like we put on here about search schools, how to reach out to different logistic spots for what service learning is, training, webinars, service learning. So just going through those to see if they still align with what we have going on. So our entire existence is an award of excellence. But it could also be, but just wanting to revisit this because I wasn't sure where we were with it, just coming back on to Foundations of Service today. So I just wanted to touch on it briefly.
That's a great question, but I'm gonna be real honest. We should be locked in on this plan. I'm not being sarcastic. But I think if you send this back out to us, we could take a look and we can make changes. But I feel like we were locked in and everybody was in agreement of like, this is what it is.
This is what it is. Okay.
But if from a staff perspective, you got information you need us to include or consider, please let us know because I want to get you what you need. But I also am, I'll be honest, so tired of seeing this plan. If we keep working on the plan, we can never execute the plan
out.
with you. Yeah.
No. That is actually the feedback that I was looking for, just so I can know where the starting point is and where to sort of take off from here. So I think we're good on that end, actually.
Okay. If you need more, let us know. I just want, again, I always want to support y'all so y'all can do what y'all need to do behind the scenes.
I don't think so.
Okay. Didn't mean to cut you off, but
you are all right. You are
again,
all
I'm
right.
over that plan in the best of ways.
It's okay. It's okay. Anthony, are we missing anything? Do you and Destiny want to take us out?
I want to give a kudos because I know this is being recorded and I need this for records. Thank you for the hard work that you've been doing. I know Terry already hyped you up. Amy has already hyped you up. We hyped you up the week of, the day of. But thanks for what you're doing, how you're doing it. Anthony, thank you so much for leading this group. It's been phenomenal. You've been helping me out because if y'all don't know, I took this chair position saying I did not have the capacity to take this chair position. So the staff has really helped me out. So thank you for the work that y'all are doing behind the scenes. And we do take it very seriously. And we know sometimes we can make y'all's job more complicated. So thank you for your grace and your patience and kindness that you give us. And may we reciprocate that back to you all as y'all are doing this on your day-to-day. And that's all, since I didn't talk at the beginning.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, like I said, Anthony, you wanna take us out? We'll see each other on May 15th. Any last words from you or Jim?
Yeah, either Candace or I will send an email with the recap, the recording, and all that good stuff, and just a reminder to go back to Jim's email from the 16th about the upcoming commission meeting. Jim, you have anything else?
No, Terry, I'll follow up with you about the details of how to add this to the agenda.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Candace, you're muted.
And there was no public comment?
I
Latifah
did not
said there's
receive
no one
any
here.
requests. Yeah, I did not receive any requests for public comment, and I don't think there's anybody from the public that's joined.
All right. Well, I'm glad to have my face back in the space with you guys. And I'm going to reach out individually to Stephanie and LaShann and the remaining members that we don't have to have that conversation with them as well, just about the transition of Anthony and me, and just for us to look forward to them on the 15th. But otherwise, bye y'all.
He's
Have
good.
a fantastic Tuesday.
See y'all.
Hi,
Take care.
everybody.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you
Thank
so
y'all.
much.
Bye.
Now, how do you get out of